This is The Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, but the real star of today's show is Rudy Van Buren. Rudy, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. All good. Typical day, training and doing some sim racing, so all good.
All good is right. If you guys don't know who Rudy Van Buren, just to catch you up on things very quickly, this is the winner of the World's Fastest Gamer competition by McLaren. Last time we talked to him, he was one of the challengers in the event. He is the declared winner and the guy who got the contract from McLaren. We're going to talk a little bit about that competition. And he's also now about to go into the Race of Champions. And I guess, well, we're going to get to that. So, Rudy, last we talked, you were the winner out of the R Factor 2 World's Fastest Gamer qualifier, and you went down to the competition against, the list, I think it's some of the guys who were there, Bono and Frake, and some of the other incredible sim racers. You were, how did you feel going in? At that point when we talked, you didn't know who you were going to be up against, how it was going to play out. Now you're on your way, and you're looking around and meeting some of these guys, I'm guessing, for the first time. How did you rank yourself going in?
Well, I think the main priority for such event is that when you enter it, you believe in yourself. So going there, I knew I had the capabilities to win it, but it was just not only up to that. There were so many different aspects all the way through the 2 weeks that it could be in favor, it could be against you. It was about performing on the right moment and so on. So I made sort of plan for myself going in there, how I wanted to approach things, especially when they released the first roster, how the whole week was going to look with the dropouts and what we were going to do roughly and when we were going to drive the real sim and all those kind of things. And I just kind of stick to plan. Not everything went as planned. And on those moments, it was just about how do you cope with it. For my own example, at the Indy 500 race, in our Factor 2, everything was going really well, and a fellow competitor spun on the apron on the pit exit and spun up the track and actually collided me. Hasn't been shown in all the videos, but that's what happened when the rat thing spun off with me on the wheel. And on those kind of moments, those have been key about staying relaxed and just grabbing yourself together and making the best of the race on such moments. Because I've said it in multiple interviews already, this was not about who could just hot lap the quickest lap. We've really done a lot of different things.
Yeah, they put you guys through the ringer. They tested you pretty extensively, and it wasn't just like, here, throw you in and do this, and we just declare a winner. This was like a whole battle process they put you through, it seems.
Yeah, and they obviously had the difficult part of keeping everybody happy, because we all had our preference. We had the iRacing guys, we had me from our factory, we had the Forza guys, and you could pick out a few, and everybody has his own preference. And then the difficult thing for them was, how are we going to make that equal? And is it even possible to make it equal? Because, well, like I said, everybody has their preferences. So that was, from my own point of view, especially in the first few days, like, just show yourself in every different platform, even if it's not your preference. I knew prior going in there, if we were going to drive the McLaren F1 car in iRacing, I would not stand a single chance against the guys who compete in DWC and so on. Only thing I could do is like stay out of trouble and just collect the points basically and drive in top 3, top 4, top 5, whatever comes to you, and just don't make the mistakes.
Basically, get the best out of any and every scenario they threw. You didn't have to win every one. You just had to get the most out of yourself for each discipline they chose.
Yeah, and definitely think about the fact that we were wearing special vests as well. They could measure everything from stress to heart rate to body temperature, the whole thing. So they were literally checking how you would cope with every situation. That's what I just meant with the Indy 500 race. I went off, yes, I wanted to go through the roof screaming from anger, but that's not the thing you should do in such moment. You grab yourself together. Yes, the car had damage. Yes, the top speed was gone. And yes, I couldn't win the race. I knew that straight after it. But from that point onwards, it's just about make the best of it and show you're capable of taking negative effects on you. Because we've all had our moments during the week where things happened that we were really not happy about. And that was the main thing in the first 3-4 days, like actually up to the Wednesday before we went from 12 to 6 people. They just checked everything, how you coped with everything. And the result was one thing. Obviously, if you win all races, they couldn't bypass you into the second round. But if you were just a stable guy, consistent, and you showed raw speed and adaptability, especially to the sims you were not your preference of platforming. That's how you could show yourself early on.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other thing, and I think you kind of hit upon it there, is that you knew you were being evaluated in a great many ways, and some of it was going to play out on the track. But I mean, maybe, who knows, but maybe the heart rate monitor was telling a whole different story. So maybe some guy who is doing very well, but their like heart is spiking through the roof. They're like, oh, I don't know if he has the composure we're looking for. I mean, from the moment you walked in the door, you didn't know what criteria was going to be part of the decision-making process.
Yeah, exactly. And without calling names, but we've had guys there, and they openly spoke about it within our group. The guys who noticed it. The driver coaches and so on, and there were guys there who they could think about or see on the heart rate that they were like on top of their capabilities while driving with heart rates what a normal person wouldn't even hit while jogging, for example. So they really got a different view on the drivers and who was calm and collected and had room inside his brain basically to do more than just driving the lap, or who needed to be 100% focused and couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing we really learned about you in that first interview, is that you have a tremendous amount of focus. But so when you got there, and you don't have to name any names, but I mean, I think I know enough about you to know that you're a pretty calm, cool guy at all circumstances. And when you walked in, did you just in the room see anybody you're like, I don't know if he's going to handle the moment? I mean, don't tell me who, but was there anybody who you just thought, he's not going to make the cut?
I think everybody deserved the chance to be there. Obviously, there were a few there where you could pick out like, well, they're good at their specialty, but will they be good enough for the rest? And that's not arrogant intended, but that was just looking at pure facts. Like if you looked into someone's background, you could make a rough sketch for yourself. And I think all of us had an idea who we would see in the final during the week, or even before starting it. But at the end, it was still down like perform on the moment. You could be a rising superstar at home, but as soon as you got there, you couldn't perform under the pressure. Big mouthed, arrogant, name it, be it, and you were not going to win it.
Right. Now, when you got there, was there like a acclamation moment where like, hey, let's take a tour, let's have lunch, let's meet so-and-so, or did they just be like, okay, guys, it's on?
No. We had a really good time, even up to the last day when I was just left with Freek there. We had a proper laugh. We had dinner together. Of course, we had the pressure, we had the competition going, but it was not there to fight each other. When we got there on the first day, it was on a Thursday. We even went to dinner in the evening, and they dropped us at a really good burger place there in the city. And actually just left us, all drivers on one table, and the guys who were with us organizing it went just downstairs and have dinner with their own group. And we had a proper laugh all the way through the weeks. It was really good.
Awesome. So, what was the most fun part of the competition?
Fun part? Well, there were more really cool parts, but putting out one, defining as fun, that's a difficult one. You put me on the spot there, because there were so many points where if you look back at it, it was so cool that we've done it, but right at that moment the pressure's on, you need to perform. So the fun aspect actually comes later when you think back about what you did. Because, for example, when we went from 12 to 6 people, we knew we were going to drive a really realistic simulator the next day. Of course, that's fun, it's exciting, it's everything, but we had 9 laps in the sim. We had 9 laps in that thing to show your hand in a Formula style seat position with a super heavy braking pedal, with a car you don't know, in a game platform you don't know. It's what they run. So is it fun at that point? It's really cool, but fun might be the wrong word.
I agree. Well said. Let me rephrase the question slightly. Were there moments that you just like kind of looked around and said, I can't believe I'm sitting here doing this?
Well, the first moment when I had that was in the second day when we walked into the boulevard, and you literally see all those cars there. It's like, this is amazing. You see so many different years through Formula One just standing there, shining, laughing at you. And imagine those cars from Prost and Senna. Those things are big.
Right.
I knew they were big, fat tires with loads of horsepower and so on, but just standing next to them, I'm a big guy, but looking at those cars, I'm like, my God, how could you race these things one-handed around Monaco? So that was the first moment in the week that really stood out for me.
Awesome. Now it all narrowed down, and it came down to you and Frake. Was there any change in pressure when it was from 12 to 6, or when it was just down to you two and everything at stake? Or, I mean, how were you able to keep things under control at that moment?
Well, early in the weeks, we always had the day after to come up with things, make up for things. If something didn't go to plan for me with my R-Factor race, I could still do well in the iRacing one or the Forza one next day, and so on. When we went from 12 to 6 people, it was like perform or going home, basically. We had the 9 laps I just talked about, and then we had the 24-hour iRacing race. That was it. After that, it was got to 2, and actually, well, it became 3, but we didn't know it at that time, because at first it was just spoken about 6 to 2 to 1. So, is there a change of pressure? Yes, but luckily we kept it, like I said before, with a proper laugh all the way with the group, even with Bono and Frake the last 2 days. It was really cool, and yes, there was pressure, but at some point it was like a relief when it was with the last 2, because the whole week it was like, okay, if I don't win this, then I at least want to drive the F1 sim, like the real F1 sim that nobody has seen. That was like the first initial goal. Obviously, when you make it to that point, you're like, oh, now I want to win it as well. Obviously. But still, it was like ticking off that box. Okay, whatever happens on that Monday, I've driven a simulator that probably like 10, 12 people on this planet drove.
Right.
And it's like the top of the bill. It's like the thing to drive. And it is. And that I then that it then went really well, and I came out as winner. That's obviously bonus. And don't get me wrong, it was the goal going there to win the competition, but still everything needed to fall in place.
Right.
So.
Awesome. So you go on to win, and you now are an employee of McLaren.
Yep.
I know you. We already talked. I just want to hear the words again. So, what is your title? It's just such a beautiful thing to hear.
Official McLaren F1 Simulator Test Driver.
That is so awesome. So now, I mean, I know you can't talk a whole lot about what you're doing directly with them, because this is Formula One. This isn't just, playing games. It is all secrets. But have you begun working with them yet? And do you know what that workload is going to be like?
Yeah, well, the workload is increasing. The contract was sorted before the new year, and all was signed and done. So that was all good. And January was the month where most of it is being formed for the whole year, like getting the right contacts, getting in talk with the right people, because there are a lot of people there. And they got a lot of different departments that you get involved with, from media to fitness to simulator A, B, C, D, name it, and you've got it. So the first 2 weeks of January have really been about a lot of phone calls and getting everything dialed. And now from next week onwards, it's gonna really take off. I'll be going there on the 21st for a whole week. And then obviously after that is Riyadh, and then everything starts going, and I'm probably more abroad than in Holland, to be honest. So then it really takes off. In January for me, it was just about mega increasing the fitness level, because they spoke a bit about it in the McLaren video. I am a big guy. I'm tall, I'm wide, and I've got quite some muscle on me. So it's like I need to get every final bit of fat going. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't there as like the guy with serious overweight, but I need to drop the fat percentage to F1 driver levels. Those are actually my own words, because they said we just need to make him a little smaller in the interview. But with a job like this, I just want to commit a full 100% to it. And the way they given me this chance, I just need to make sure that I'm there as ready as I can be, as fit as I can be, because it will help me in the end in the real simulators as well, because those things are physical to drive. So I just need to up everything. That's what I'm doing right now as well. So as soon as I won the competition, it became priority 1 increasing stamina and strength in certain areas where I could notice for myself as well while driving the sim, like this needs improvement. And then from like the 21st onward, like the real work is really going to start.
Now, I don't know if you can answer this, but Dan asks, and do you work directly with the drivers, or do you work like satellite and feed them information, or is that something you can even answer?
No, I'm not in direct contact with the drivers. You've got a special team running the simulator, and they run the programs from every driver that goes in it, and those are like the middle point of everyone where every information comes. And there can be moments that I'm going to run into Alonso there. I look forward to it. At this moment, it's just you've got the sim team, so to call it, and then you've got all driver inputs from every side. And no, I'm not directly into contact with any driver.
All right. Did you ever think sim racing would lead to something like this? I mean, you've been sim racing since LFS days. Did you ever imagine that you'd be signing a contract with McLaren because you're playing your silly game, as some friends of yours might even call it?
No, put me 5-6 months back. Put me beginning of August 2017, and I would have not believed it if you tell me when I first saw the competition. Like, okay, this is really cool, but depending how they were actually going to do it, what platforms they're going to use, how to qualify, and so on. It had tons of unknowns in the beginning, and then things started falling into place. And well, we know the end result now. But no, if you put me 5 months back, I would have not believed you that I would be an official McLaren employee now. With that's the only job I got. They gave me the frame where I'm just 100% commit to McLaren. So it's like it's the dream job. Don't get just put that forward. It's a dream job.
Awesome. So, has it changed your life?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. My phone's ringing the whole time. Loads of other commitments just next to the simulator driving, because we all know, like, the first picture. Okay, you're sim test driving. Yes, but there's way more to that. So I'm going to have a very busy year with loads of extras on the side, and Riyadh is one of those extras. So it's going to be a really cool year, and yes, it definitely puts stuff upside down. From being at a desk from 9 to 5, it's now being in a gym from 9 to 12, to various other things, posting videos on my YouTube channel with onboards, those kind of things. Just everything's about racing now. At first, you dream about having the chance to have such a job, and now I have it. Everything that I do has something related with racing, so it's really cool. Visiting TV shows, I've had pretty much every radio station in Holland live, all those kind of things. It's overwhelming at first, but it's I can only appreciate it, every attention that it gets, and it's just not even looking out of myself, but just for sim racing in general. It's so good.
Yeah.
That the last 2 years it finally gets the notice it deserves next to all the shooters and all those kind of things, and I think it's going to increase. It's only going to get better. So every attention that's possible for the sim race community is good. So I try to be a valuable what's the English word for it? Sorry.
No, you're an asset. You're an ambassador for sim racing.
Word.
Yeah, absolutely. We all love flattery. I've heard your name mentioned in Formula One shows. I mean, you're like famous on a Formula One level even. What's it like hearing your name in places you might have only seen or watched or heard of on your own?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was just really cool to see my face and name on all the big websites. Also, just after the win, the day after, even the evening itself, it was at every possible race-related website you could name, Dutch, international, everywhere. Yeah, I made a lot of screenshots. Just like, I'm just gonna enjoy it while it lasts, basically. And of course, we all want to continue after this year and so on, but still, you got to enjoy it in the moment as well. So that was really cool. And I actually have a friend of mine who runs a R-Factor 2 league, GPVWC. I won the championship there last year, and I actually went to the prize giving after the World's Fastest Gamer final when it was in Belgium, and I spoke to him there, and it's like, At first, I knew you from my own league, and that was it. And now the name Van Buren is something that goes around in the F1 paddock. Like, for example, in Abu Dhabi in the winter test, like, who is that guy? When are we going to meet him? Does McLaren put him on the spot as well? Like, for a media event or something, do we get the chance to talk to him and so on? So that's really cool.
It's so
And just for
awesome.
info, Will, the guy I speak about, is one of the social media managers from Force India. So that's why he knew that the name was going around in the F1 paddock.
Yeah. So you think McLaren will ever let you drive a test car on a test lap somewhere?
I'll focus in the simulator. It's no secret that I'm I'm too tall for an F1 driver.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll run into trouble doing that. In a simulator, you can sit in a slightly different way that would not be possible in real life.
Gotcha.
So it's tight. It fits. Don't get me wrong. I can drive with no problems at all. It's like I don't get out it bruised or broken or whatever. It's all good.
Right.
But doing it like that in real life will be really tricky with all G-forces and so on. So no, I don't expect it.
Right.
So no, it's all good.
Are you?
They could always ask me for something with a roof on top, because then the length is no issue.
Hey, they make those too.
Yeah.
Are you still going to sim race this year? Are you still going to competitive online race?
That's the bit unknown at this point, to be honest. McLaren is going to take a lot of time, so it's going to be really difficult to commit to a racing series, but you'll definitely see my face in various platforms. I've been driving around tons the last days, actually last weeks, in Assetto Corsa with all various McLaren cars. I've got loads of onboard videos of hot laps from that scheduled on my YouTube account to come online for about coming weeks, actually. I recorded a lot. They're all scheduled. So,
all right.
Will I do races? I don't expect it, or not much, or not anything big. But I've been driving around in iRacing, doing ovals, doing rallycross, just something that I'm not familiar with, which is not my preference of platform, but I enjoy it. And yes, I'm not the world's fastest gamer in iRacing. Don't get me wrong. I get my ass whooped in rallycross, but I enjoy doing it, and that's one of the main priorities why I jump in it, because I don't know the guys. I just have fun. I drift around. Sometimes take a win, sometimes take a second, sometimes take a fifth, and all with a laugh. So that's the main priority I want to keep into the sim racing for myself this year, because I'm going to be doing so much at McLaren itself,
right,
that I need something light-footed just for fun. And currently that goes perfect with the rallycross or the fixed oval series, for example. I did quite some races on Milwaukee last week with iRacing, and I had a proper laugh. So on that base, yes, you'll see me online.
Awesome.
Didn't want a single line.
Awesome. Tony V asked a question, so I'm going to kind of change the question slightly based on our pre-interview talk. But I know there are various levels of simulator at McLaren, and let's just be straight out. There are levels of simulator that we just aren't even going to talk about at this point. So going to the level that you can talk about, how would you compare that and what you were running there to just like what we all normal sim racers are running on, say, like just our iRacing platform or R Factor 2?
I think if we just talk about the MAT sim, that's the one you could see in the preview videos as well, or the daily reports. You've seen when we went down to 6 people, we were in this big Formula cockpit with 180 degrees beamer screen around it. Well, biggest difference towards home is already the whole seating position and just the whole room you're actually in. You could see on the videos as well, like big TVs, big telemetry, multiple guys watching. They see everything you do.
Still got the heart rate monitor on, I'm guessing?
Yeah, we had it on. We had it on. Because they wanted to see the stress levels. And so you're sitting in a position you're not used to, in a room you're not used to, with a screen you're not used to. Those are the 3 biggest things I point out as differences to at home. Because there are sets at home which are really good. If you've got a proper OSW and you've got the proper load cell pedals, you can come to a somewhat close level. The difference then is the platform they're using, because that one is a lot more realistic in tiny aspects that every sim at home lacks.
Right.
That's also the reason why you could take a real life racing driver, put him into that MAT sim, and he'll be decent out of the box. While if you put him in rFactor or iRacing or Seto, he'll just spin out the whole time.
Gotcha.
Those are like the little difference, and it's very difficult to pinpoint like a single thing. But it just drives more like a real life car, and it's really difficult for my position to comment. Like it's really this. You feel more weight in the car, the way it responds to a throttle. But yeah, let's put that one forward. Weight transfer. That's one of the biggest differences that you actually feel through the wheel, through the sim, because we can do things. With formula cars and multiple sims at home, which would just shoot you off in real life.
Right.
With throttle application and so on. Those are one of the things that for a few guys who went into the MAT sim during World Fastest Gamer as well, you could really see the way they were used to going on a throttle in a sim. For example, you come out of the corner, it's like da, 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 until the car sticks. While in real life, you build. So if you go on throttle, you got like a chicane, you go on it, and you gradually build until you're full. While in a sim, it's like bop, 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 all the way through the corners to mess up the car. But if you do that in that sim, it's like instant, won't work.
Right.
So those are like little points, and then add it all together, it's a whole different experience. But don't get me wrong, it's still two pedals and a wheel driving around the track.
Sure, and driving, and that's why sim is still semi-closely related to real-life racing. But I appreciate what you're saying about the difference from a real-life driver who's never done sim racing perspective, where getting into that sim, it's more rooted in the timing and the feeling of a real-life car than, as much as we'd love to say that are sitting at a desk holding a G27, is a lot more removed from that than what their setup is. So I get that. I mean, I think whether they're a real-life driver or a friend, I bring them in and put them in iRacing or rFactor or any sim, and they're blind until they figure it all out, versus it sounds like that thing is just like so closely related that you know what you're doing the minute you get there.
Well, good example. We got Hendrik, the doctor in World Fastest Gamer. He raced on an iPad. He did his qualification through Gear Club. He got sent home after the first 6, but because he had that limited amount of experience in any racing sim, basically, they still asked him to drive the MAT simulator. And because it's so comparable to a real-life car, he did better than a few of the 6 guys who were left for the final.
Right.
He had no experience,
right.
But just by using his own brain, his own things he was used to driving his car around in Denmark, he did really well in that sim. He wasn't up to the lap times that some of us were doing, but he was better than a few.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts it in perspective, like how realistic is the thing compared to what you do at home.
Yeah. David Grunnell mentions, and I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, is that sim actually gave you that seat of the pants feel that allows you to drive by more of a G-force sensation than what we're accustomed to, just getting force feedback from a wheel.
Yes, you can feel it through your bum.
Yeah. All right, I want to move on to other things, but I got one more question I got to ask you about this. So when you finish doing a driving session or any other things, did they do like a debriefing with you, or were you just sort of like, okay, great, next? Or did you have an awareness of how they perceived what you had done?
Yeah, they increased that during the week. When we were still with 12 people, they divided the group into 2. We had 2 driver coaches. We had Phil Keane and we had Gonzalo Gomez. And those 2 just helped us with basically everything we wanted. Those 2 were also the point where the 2 guys where you could go to and ask questions that on camera will probably make you look bad, because everybody goes rattling in his head with weird questions, like weird theories and so on. You need someone to speak to who you can just say everything to without making you look like an arrogant douchebag.
Right.
So we had those 2. After the first few events, we had debriefs with like 6 people, and then you run through it all. Then when we got further, for example, after the MAT sim, the one where we were left with 6, we did 3 laps, got out of it, talked about it with a few of the coaches and a few of the data experts from McLaren, went back in and replied that 3 times. So yeah, very short but very good debriefs where everything was like pointed in. Then we were with 3 people left Carlin, then we had the real debrief. We had the sheet from the track with every corner name that you wrote everything down that you felt and so on, because they increased the load of feedback they wanted from you through the week. And then obviously after the real F1 sim test on Monday, which me and Freek did, yeah, we had a proper debrief.
Awesome.
And I actually think that multiple things I just noted will be shown in a documentary that's going to be released somewhere in January from the whole week, because earlier in the live stream we mentioned that some of you guys, or basically the whole audience, didn't really see what we all did during the week, but they did film everything basically.
Awesome.
And in that documentary, they're obviously going to show more than they did in the daily debrief, so that will put some things in perspective. And of course, even during during a episode like that, we will still have things that will trick you into certain things, which will cover some things that happened, that will change some perspective, which might not be true if you knew the real case, but still you're going to see a really cool, I think 1.5, 2 hours of show, and that will help.
I can't wait till that comes out. I can't
either.
Yeah, I mean, it'll allow us to all see sort of the emotion going on too, because that's the one thing that's sort of hard to really grasp. I mean, again, I just remember the first time I went to Daytona, and I mean, I've been to a lot of racetracks, but Daytona is sort of like an important track here in America, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of like where it all started on the whole oval side, and it was sort of this cool experience. It was a little different than when I drove into California Speedway. So it's like, I know that even though, I mean, I think of the guys you were up against, Bono. I've met Bono, and the guy doesn't even crack a smile. So it's like, I know he's cool. You know, he's not going to get caught. But I know at the same time that all you guys walked into this, like, one of the holy grails of racing. And you know, it just, and I know you're all really good guys. So, again, before we move on, what was the camaraderie amongst the group, and have you met a lot of these guys at like Sim Expo and things like that over the years?
No, actually, I met Freek on the airport going there. I met Bono at the Sim Expo, that's true, but that was it. I think I saw Isaac one time. No, I didn't saw Isaac one time earlier either. I knew Isaac through various racing teams we were on, but not like specifically face to face. So no, we just shake hands with everybody there, and we had a really good time. I think everybody got to know each other, especially after get to know each other. It's difficult, but like you get to know each other a little after a few days. So I met really cool people there, but prior to it, I didn't. Apart from Bono, I didn't meet anyone.
Right. Now, I have a hunch that they were actually polling for you, and the reason I say that is they dressed you in your national colors. I mean,
yeah,
they you show up.
Even my car that color this year. So
it was an omen.
Yeah, they put orange on it for 2017. So,
all right. So next up, I want to move on now. The next big competition coming that is just going to really help promote sim racing, I think, is this Race of Champions, which, you know, I'm sure most of you out there know Race of Champions, where they take a lot of champions from various different disciplines of racing, put them all into an element they're not necessarily accustomed to, put them head-to-head to define a winner of all these different disciplines. I believe last year they actually did allow by voting, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of sim racers to get into some of the pre-qualifying rounds. But this year they're actually going to have a shootout, and it's called the eROC. So I read the story, and funny, on these super competitions, it's really weird how getting the details, and we're all sim racers, we're detail people, you can't get the details. So it sort of has implied things. But I know that you and 4 other drivers are going to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to compete in this competition alongside Juan Montoya, David Coulthard, and a long list of other professional, very known champion-level racers. I almost said sim racers. So you're on your way? This is coming up in a couple weeks. You're on your way to Riyadh.
Yep, I'm leaving on the 31st of January. So yeah, that's all really cool. Just to get something clear, I'm outside of the eROC competition. I'm going there straight qualified for both main events. So to put it in like a simple picture, there are four guys selected for the eROC. Those four are going to compete in Assetto Corsa on the special track there on stage. Next to that, they're going to drive 1 or 2 different car types around the track as well. They combine those times, and there comes a winner. That winner becomes my teammate for the Nations Cup. That will be on the 2nd of February. And then I think, but I'm not 100% sure about this, that the winner of the eROC is also qualified for the individual event on the 3rd of February. But at least I am. I'm going there like on the same list that you got Lando, you got all the big names for your American, Joseph Newgarden, everybody. I'm on the same list. I'm going to drive there in the real cars. No virtual part for me in that. So this is like the first major step of the year, but it's going to be a really, really cool one.
You are going to share cars and share a track and compete against all heroes to all of us. I mean, if you're a racing fan, every name on that list is a hero in their discipline, in their region. All right, I know you're a pretty confident guy. We've talked to you enough about that. How do you feel going into this?
Yeah, well, it's the difficult one. I've got some experience with racing cars, but still, this thing's really, really far out of the box. You can look at it like 2 perspectives. You've got the real-life stars, but they're not in their comfort zone either. They're going to drive 6, 7 different cars between concrete blocks, to put it in very simple perspective. On the other hand, that's the difficult part for me as well. I got some experience, but not in certain situations. So it's like double the other way. So it's really difficult to make expectations. But I just want to enjoy myself, basically. I've got nothing to lose in some regard. I'm still the sim race guy going there, and I can only improve.
Right.
If I survive a few rounds, if I win a few heats, if I win a heat, it's already really cool. So I just want to go there and go by the moment and enjoy it. And if it goes well, it goes well. If I'm not quick enough, I'm not quick enough. But we can only know by the results list when we're there. I can make 10,000 different predictions, and inside you get a feeling and so on. But it's not worth going into those details. I just need to go there, do my best, keep it on track, and enjoy the time being there.
Well, I think it's awesome that and deservedly so. So the 4 sim racers, and in this case, you're not one of them. That's the beautiful thing in here. So there's the 4 sim racers that are going to go compete for a spot, and then there's Rudy Van Buren, the we don't have a name for you because you're apparently not a sim racer anymore. You're the guy who gets a bye into the next round. So they all have to come, have you watch them compete to see who gets to sit by your side.
Yes.
That's a beautiful thing right there. It should be a lot of fun.
That's the main priority for those 4 days that we're going to be there. I've never been there. I've seen pictures. It's looking beautiful. It's a bit Dubai-like, the whole city. It's no secret that Saudi Arabia has a lot of sand, but the whole city of Riyadh looks massive. So kind of look forward to going there and just exploring everything that's there in the 4 days we're going to spend there.
Well, and that stadium is insane. I mean, because everything they do in Dubai, Saudi, it's on a scale that most Western countries don't even understand. Between this competition, McLaren, which got you so much exposure, between the ROC is an opportunity and a half, because really you have nothing to lose. You get exposure for your name, period, because you're going to be, I'm assuming there's a pre-competition ceremony where they probably run you around in the back of trucks or something, and David Coulthard, Juan Montoya, Joseph Newgarden, Rudy Van Buren, and there's not going to be a weird pause or hesitation. There's going to be as seamless introduction to the entire crowd, the entire world via streaming and televised coverage. At some point, don't you think that opportunity is going to come knocking in other ways? I mean, you're being given exposure again, even beyond just a normal sim racing level. I'd have to think that somebody, at what point, and I think we talked about this a little bit in the last interview, but at what point is some team out there going, we're sick of these rich kids that keep crashing cars. When are we going to just take an inside gamble on somebody who's proven themselves and just doesn't maybe have that opportunity? I don't know. It just seems like this is all going to lead to something for Rudy Van Buren. What do you think?
Well, expecting such chance would be wrong, because nobody is forced into anything to give a person like me a chance in that regard. But on the other end, I can hope for certain things. And if they pop up, then I need to grab them with both hands, of course. But if they don't, I still get one massive year with McLaren. So if those things show up, I'll definitely I'll accept it, and I'll be super happy. But it's as a bonus, because the job already they gave to me is really cool, and everything that comes out of it. Well, I don't know. Rock could be a big step into the direction if that will go really well. But time will tell in that regard.
Is there anybody in that rock competition that you were like, man, if I get to go head to head, because they do head to head in those, if I'm not mistaken, they always have in the past. You're like, man, I can't wait till it's me and him on the starting line. I just want to look and just imagine looking across and seeing one of those guys. Is there anybody in that list you're just like, I can't wait, bring it?
I think I'll get that feeling with pretty much anyone on the list.
Yeah, it is a pretty big list.
It would be disrespectful for anyone to just point out one. I could name Juan just because he won last year. But if you're racing up against Jensen Button or Lando or Joseph, they're all really fast, proven guys. So I think on any occasion, if I look over at the start and I'll see one of their helmets next to me, as I'm going to and go. You should not forget at that moment, we're all equal.
Right.
They make sure the cars are the same, the track's the same, corners are the same, temperature's the same.
Yep.
There's no grip level, the wind gusted me, nothing. Everybody's equal.
Well, and to an extent, just like the McLaren competition itself, it comes down to who can make a quick adjustment to that scenario. And everybody's going to be a fish out of water. And everybody's going to be uncomfortable because this is the furthest thing from hopping in a Formula One car or an Indy car. And, I would think the rally car guys of anybody might have the biggest going in advantage, perhaps. But I think just like your approach to McLaren, taking that, just get the most out of every scenario is going to pay off pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be the approach. And first of all, enjoy it.
Okay.
It's not very normal that you get the chance to just fly over to Saudi and do such event. And we should not forget that the whole rules inside, the whole government thing in Saudi just recently changed as well, that women are not allowed to drive cars and so on. It might sound super odd, but it's what's happening there right now. So racing cars in general are booming there.
Right.
So they're kind of expecting the whole stadium to just explode with people today. So it's going to be really cool just seeing that.
So McLaren, I asked you the question, what was the most fun? And it's like, well, it was so... Do you think this will be a little different on that end? Do you think this will be just fun? Or do you think it's going to be a work?
Well, the whole approach from this event is fun. Don't get us wrong, when the helmet goes on, everybody wants to win.
Right.
But still, outside of it, it's going to be really fun just being around those guys, having a proper laugh, making a selfie, asking them for an autograph, because that's how it's going to go down. So, at McLaren, most of us came there, or at least a few of them had the idea in sight that they were capable of winning it. So then, yes, everything was fun at McLaren doing it, but still, we were all there with like a real force insight into one dream. And this event is just the one of fun, but on the other hand, we all want to win. Don't get me wrong.
Sure. Hey, I assume you're going to go home with a brand new helmet, driving shoes, gloves, suit, the works. You're going to be all set. So that's all awesome. Well, Rudy, oh man, it's been a real pleasure talking to you again. And I think everybody watching this show, and I see 220 people watching right now as we speak. Boy. I think all of us are pulling for you to really... hey, we're pulling for you to win the Rock. Because that would just be awesome. And I think that if there was ever a scenario where a sim racer had a chance, this is it. It's like it's made for the opportunity, because it's not just saying, oh, how do your lap times compare to so-and-so in the car that he drives every day, where any of us would be a failure, because that's what that guy does every day. So I think you got a great shot at doing very, very well. And I know at the very least, you're going to be doing a great job of what we all want, which is just being that, as you know, ambassador to sim racing. You're showing the whole world for us, and you know, I don't know if you like the flattery, but you know, you're I think I said it before, but you're my hero, man. You have done exactly what we all dream of, and congratulations. And you know, I can't think of a better person more deserving of everything that's coming your way, and I just hope it just keeps getting better and better. And this is just the tip of the iceberg at the very beginning for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really, really cool year.
So thanks again for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you. And again, good luck in Riyadh.
Thank you.
So there you have it, everybody. Rudy Van Buren. I mean, this was a different type of interview than last time. Not only did you get to see what is preparation, everything, but now we get to see a little bit of that, just letting loose and having fun and reaping the rewards of putting in the work, which all of you put in the work, and you could be on the path just like Rudy is. Thank you for watching this. It's been a real pleasure having Rudy on the show. This is The Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.